Have you ever been sitting in your favorite chair, in the quiet of your own home, and felt the silence a little too deeply? It's not necessarily a sad quiet, but a spacious one. The kind where you notice the clock ticking a little louder, and the house seems to echo with memories rather than the bustling noise of a family that's now grown and gone. If that feeling rings true for you, even just a little, then I want you to know you're not alone, and more importantly, that this chapter of your life holds a beautiful opportunity for a transformation you might not have even imagined. So often, we're told that getting older is about slowing down, about accepting limitations, and about settling into a quieter, perhaps lonelier, version of our lives. But what if I told you that's only half the story? What if the very circumstances that can make you feel alone, the empty nest, the retirement, the passing of dear friends, are actually the perfect conditions to build a life that is richer, more peaceful, and more truly yours than ever before? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. We're going to explore 6 powerful, yet beautifully simple, habits that can truly transform your experience of life when you find yourself with more time on your hands and perhaps less company to share it with. Now, this isn't about a quick fix or a magic pill. It's about gentle shifts, small changes in your daily routine and your outlook that, over time, can weave together to create a tapestry of profound well-being and contentment. We're going to walk through these habits together, one step at a time, in a way that feels practical and doable. We'll start with the very foundation of how we see our world, and then we'll move into some wonderfully actionable steps you can take. So, let's begin with the first habit, and it might surprise you because it starts not with an action, but with a thought. The first powerful habit is to reframe your perspective on solitude. You see, there's a world of difference between being alone and being lonely. Loneliness is a feeling of lack, a sadness that comes from missing connection. But solitude? Solitude is a choice. It's the conscious, welcome state of being with yourself. Think about it. For most of our lives, our time wasn't really our own, was it? It was dedicated to raising children, building careers, attending social obligations. Our days were filled with the needs and sounds of others. And that was a beautiful, fulfilling season. But this new season offers something just as precious, the gift of uninterrupted time with the person you've spent a lifetime becoming, you. I want you to try a little exercise with me. The next time you feel that quiet settling in, instead of letting it feel like an emptiness, I want you to see it as a blank canvas. What would you like to paint on it? Maybe it's the freedom to read that book you've been putting off for years, without a single interruption. Maybe it's the space to simply sit with a cup of tea and your own thoughts, remembering fond memories without the rush of the next task. This reframing is like changing the lens on a camera. The scene is the same, the quiet room, the empty chair, but the picture you see can shift from one of absence to one of peaceful possibility. It's about reclaiming your space and your time as something valuable, not something to be endured. When you start to see your alone time as me time, a luxury you've earned, you begin to approach your days with a sense of anticipation, rather than apprehension. Now, once we've begun to shift our perspective on the inside, we can start to build a world on the outside that supports and nurtures us. And that brings us beautifully to the second habit, craft a nurturing daily rhythm. I deliberately use the word rhythm instead of routine. A routine can feel rigid, like a checklist of chores. But a rhythm has a flow to it. It's gentle, it's natural, and it supports you throughout the day. Without a rhythm, days can blur into one another, and it's easy to fall into the trap of spending too much time in a chair, with the television as your main companion. A nurturing rhythm gives your day structure and purpose, and it's one of the most powerful antidotes to that feeling of drifting. So, what does a nurturing rhythm look like? It doesn't have to be complicated. It starts with something as simple as getting out of bed at a consistent time each morning, even if you don't have anywhere you need to be. It's about making your bed, not because you have to, but because it's a small, immediate accomplishment that sets a positive tone for the day. It's about dressing in clothes that make you feel good, not just staying in your pajamas all day. These small acts send a powerful message to your own mind: my life matters. This day matters. Your rhythm should include things that bring you a sense of small joys and small accomplishments. Maybe after breakfast, you spend 20 minutes tending to a houseplant or a small container garden on your balcony. The act of nurturing another living thing is profoundly good for the soul. Then, perhaps, you have a project time. This could be working on a jigsaw puzzle, organizing a photo album, knitting, or even writing a letter to a relative. The key is to have anchors throughout your day, a morning anchor, a midday anchor, an evening anchor, that give you a gentle sense of progression and engagement. This isn't about being busy for the sake of being busy, it's about curating a day that you actively enjoy living. And that leads us so naturally into the third habit, which is all about connecting with the world immediately around you. This habit is, cultivate a mindful connection to your immediate world. When our world physically shrinks a bit, perhaps we don't get out as much as we used to, it's easy to feel disconnected from life. But connection isn't just about big social events or traveling to far-off places. True, meaningful connection can be found by deepening your relationship with the world right outside your window and within your own home. This starts with nature. Even if you live in a city apartment, you can connect with nature. Make it a part of your daily rhythm to truly look out the window. Notice the way the light changes on the buildings throughout the day. Watch the birds at a feeder. If you can, step outside for just a few minutes. Feel the sun or the breeze on your skin. This practice, often called grounding or earthing, is a wonderful way to pull yourself out of your own thoughts and into the present moment. It reminds you that you are part of a vast, beautiful, and living world. But your immediate world also includes the space you live in. This habit is about turning your home from just a place you live into a true sanctuary. And you can do this through the simple, powerful act of engaging your senses. Put on music you love, not just as background noise, but to truly listen to it. The music of your youth can be especially powerful, evoking wonderful memories and feelings. Pay attention to scents. A simple vase of fresh flowers or a gently scented candle can lift your mood dramatically. When you eat, even if it's just a simple meal, try to make it a beautiful experience. Use a placemat, use the good china for no reason at all, and really savor the flavors and textures of your food. By engaging your senses of sight, sound, smell, and taste, you pull yourself into the now. You're not worrying about tomorrow or regretting yesterday. You're right here, in this moment, and you're filling it with small, beautiful experiences. This mindful connection to your immediate surroundings can turn an ordinary day into a series of small, appreciative moments. Now, these first three habits, reframing your perspective, crafting a daily rhythm, and connecting mindfully to your world, they are like preparing the soil in a garden. They create the conditions for something beautiful to grow. And with that foundation firmly in place, we're ready to explore habits that will help you reach out and weave new threads of connection and purpose into the tapestry of your life. You know, it's interesting. When we've spent a day that has a gentle rhythm to it, when we've taken the time to truly notice the sunlight dancing on the wall or to savor a perfectly brewed cup of coffee, there's a natural feeling that often follows. It's a feeling of quiet contentment, but it can also be a feeling of, well, having a little something extra to share. It's like when you bake a batch of cookies and the best part, besides eating one yourself, is wrapping a few up to give to a neighbor. That impulse to connect, to share the good things in our life, is a powerful and deeply human one. And it leads us perfectly into our next habits, which are all about reaching out and building a life that feels rich with purpose and connection. Because let's be honest, while solitude can be a beautiful and nourishing garden, we are, by nature, social creatures. We thrive on connection. The key in this chapter of life is to find connections that feel fulfilling and manageable, not draining or obligatory. We're not trying to recreate the busy social calendar of our 40-year-old selves. We're looking for something deeper, more meaningful. And that brings us to the fourth powerful habit: seek out purposeful social connection. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, easier said than done. My old friends have moved away, my family is busy, and it's hard to meet new people. And you are absolutely right. It can be challenging. But this habit isn't about collecting a huge number of friends. It's about the quality of the connection and the purpose behind it. It's about moving from a feeling of, I should call someone, to a feeling of, I have something I'd love to share with so-and-so, or I'd really like to learn more about that. So, what does a purposeful social connection look like? It often starts with a shared interest. Think about that daily rhythm we talked about. What are the anchors of your day? If you love to garden, perhaps your purposeful connection is joining a local gardening club or even an online forum where you can share pictures of your roses and get advice. The conversation has a natural starting point, a shared passion. If your project time involves genealogy, connecting with a cousin or even a distant relative online to swap stories and old photos becomes a mission, a shared detective story. This takes the pressure off because the focus is on the activity first, and the social connection grows naturally from there. Another wonderful way to foster this is through what I like to call micro-connections. These are the small, warm exchanges we can have throughout the week that remind us we are part of a community. It's making a point to have a genuine, few-minute conversation with your mail carrier or the cashier at the grocery store you see every week. It's smiling and complimenting another person's dog on your daily walk. It's calling a friend not for a long, drawn-out chat, but just to say, I heard that song we loved on the radio today and it made me think of you. Hope you're having a good day. These tiny moments of recognition and kindness are like social vitamins. They might seem small, but they nourish our spirit and remind us that we are seen and that we matter to the people around us. And this idea of mattering, of making a contribution, is a powerful force for well-being. It leads us directly into the fifth habit, which is perhaps one of the most life-changing of all: become a mentor in your own life. Now, I know the word mentor might sound a bit formal, like something you do in a boardroom. But what I mean is this: you have lived a long and remarkable life. You have stories, you have wisdom, you have skills, and you have a unique perspective that nobody else in this world has. All of that accumulated experience is a treasure, and a treasure is meant to be shared, not kept in a dusty chest. When you become a mentor, you are actively sharing that treasure, and in doing so, you transform your own story from something that is in the past to something that is actively shaping the present and the future. This doesn't mean you have to stand up and give lectures. It can be as simple as writing down your memories for your grandchildren. You could record a short video on your phone or a tablet, telling a story about what life was like when you were their age. You are giving them a gift more precious than any object, a connection to their own history. Perhaps you have a practical skill, like knitting, woodworking, or even baking a perfect pie crust. Sharing that skill, whether with a young person in your family or through a community center class, does two beautiful things. It passes on a piece of our cultural tapestry, and it gives you an immense sense of value. You are not just keeping busy, you are a vital link in a chain, passing knowledge from one generation to the next. But being a mentor isn't only about the past. It's also about being curious right now, today. One of the most wonderful ways to stay young at heart is to find someone who can mentor you in something new. Maybe it's a grandchild who can show you how to use a new feature on your phone to video call them. Maybe it's a friend from a club who introduces you to a new author or a new type of music. This beautiful, two-way street of learning and teaching keeps your mind agile and your spirit engaged. It tells the world, and more importantly, it tells yourself, that your story is still being written, that you still have chapters to add. These habits of reaching out, of seeking purposeful connection and sharing your hard-earned wisdom, they have a wonderful way of filling your life with a different kind of energy. It's not the frantic energy of youth, but a deeper, more sustained current of engagement and meaning. And as this current flows through your days, you might just find yourself feeling lighter, more optimistic, and more open to the simple joys that are always available to us. And it is in that very spirit of openness that we will explore our final, transformative habit, one that brings everything together in a practice of profound peace and resilience. And you know, that's the beautiful thing about sharing our time and our wisdom. It has a way of coming back to us, doesn't it? It's like tossing a pebble into a still pond. The ripples spread out in ways we can't always predict, touching shores we never knew were there. When you share a story, you get to relive its joy. When you teach a skill, you remember why you fell in love with it in the first place. This beautiful exchange fills us up. It gives our days a sense of meaning that goes far beyond our own four walls. But even with a life rich in connection and purpose, there will still be days. There will be days when the rain keeps you inside, when a twinge in your knee reminds you of your limits, or when a memory brings a tear to your eye alongside the smile. Life, in all its seasons, includes moments of challenge and sadness. And that is why our sixth and final habit is perhaps the most important anchor of all. It's the one that allows us to hold all the other habits, the solitude, the rhythm, the connection, the purpose, and keep them safe through life's inevitable passing storms. This final habit is to practice gentle acceptance and gratitude. Now, I want to be very clear about what I mean by acceptance. This is not about giving up. It's not about throwing your hands in the air and saying, well, this is just the way it is, and it's terrible. That is resignation, and it leads to a feeling of being stuck. No, the acceptance I'm talking about is an active, gentle, and profoundly powerful state of mind. It's about looking clearly at your life, exactly as it is in this moment, the things you can change and the things you cannot, and choosing to make peace with that reality. It's about forgiving your body for not being able to do what it did at 50, while still being deeply thankful that it allows you to feel the warmth of the sun on your skin or to hug a loved one. It's about acknowledging the loneliness when it visits, without letting it move in and take over the whole house. Think of it like this. Imagine you're sitting on a riverbank, watching the water flow by. On that river, all sorts of things float past, beautiful autumn leaves, which are the happy memories and the good days. But sometimes, a tangle of old branches or some mud will float by, representing the aches, the pains, the losses, the frustrations. Resignation is like jumping into the muddy water and getting tangled in the branches, letting them pull you under. Gentle acceptance is simply staying on the bank, noticing the mud and the branches, acknowledging that they are there, and then letting them float on by. You don't ignore them, but you don't let them define your entire river either. You allow them their space, and then you turn your attention back to the beautiful leaves, the sunlight sparkling on the water, the sound of the birds in the trees beside you. And how do we do this? How do we cultivate this gentle acceptance? The most powerful tool we have is the daily practice of gratitude. I know you've heard this before, but it's so much more than just a buzzword. It is a practical, life-altering habit. Gratitude is the lens that allows us to see the leaves on the river, even when the mud is passing by. It's the active search for the good, the beautiful, and the meaningful in every single day. This doesn't have to be a big, formal production. You don't need a special journal, unless you want one. It can be as simple as a quiet moment before you get out of bed in the morning. Before your feet even touch the floor, think of one thing you are genuinely looking forward to today. It could be the taste of your morning coffee, the sound of a bird outside your window, or a chapter in a book you're reading. Or, in the evening, as you're settling in, think back over your day and find 3 small things you are grateful for. And I do mean small. The way the light came through the window in the afternoon. The fact that your favorite sweater is so warm. A kind word from a neighbor. A memory that made you smile. By actively looking for these moments, you are training your brain. You are telling it, look, there is good here. Find it. Over time, this becomes your default way of seeing the world. The challenges don't disappear, but they are no longer the main event. They become parts of a larger, still beautiful whole. So, let's take a quiet moment together now to look back at the path we've walked. We started by reframing our perspective, seeing solitude not as loneliness, but as a precious opportunity. We then talked about crafting a nurturing daily rhythm, giving our days a gentle, purposeful flow. We explored cultivating a mindful connection to our immediate world, finding joy and engagement right where we are. We discussed seeking out purposeful social connection, finding meaningful ways to reach out and share our lives. We learned about becoming a mentor, sharing our priceless wisdom and staying curious. And finally, we've just talked about anchoring it all with gentle acceptance and a daily practice of gratitude. These 6 habits, woven together, create a life of profound resilience and quiet joy. They are not a checklist to be completed, but a garden to be tended, day by day. Some days you'll tend to one part more than another, and that's perfectly okay. The goal is progress, not perfection. The goal is to wake up each morning with a sense of possibility, and to end each day with a feeling of peace. Now, I would love to hear from you. This is a conversation, after all. In the comments below, would you share one small thing you are grateful for today? Or perhaps one habit from our talk that you're feeling inspired to try. Your stories and experiences are a part of this wonderful community, and they might be the very thing that inspires someone else to take a small, positive step in their own life. If this conversation has been helpful, if it's given you a new idea or a little bit of hope, please do give this video a like. It helps others, just like you, to find it. And if you'd like to join me for more conversations like this, about living our best lives in every season, I would be so honored if you subscribe to the channel. Remember, my friend, your life is a beautiful, ongoing story. You have weathered storms and basked in sunshine, and you have gathered more wisdom than you may even realize. This chapter is not an ending. It is an opportunity to live with more intention, more peace, and more authentic joy than ever before. You have everything you need inside you to make it truly magnificent. Here's to you, and to the beautiful, life-affirming days ahead.